Episode 1. The fellas, the boys, the guys, the pals, the buddies, they're all back.
The buddies, especially, we're back. Season 3, better than ever. I mean, listen, it had been a while. I'll be completely honest. I wasn't sure if season 3 was going to happen. Here we are. We're a couple weeks away from football season, and it is so good to see y'all's two faces on my computer screen right now. It's a beautiful sight.
We made it, baby. Quinshawn Judkins episode here in honor of the spin move that is lethal in college football 25.
That shit was retarded. I was watching Wizzo play on what is it called, the Road to the College Football Playoff, and it was just broken. It's not even fair. It's like worse than Bo Jackson and like NFL
Tecmo Bowl, yeah.
Tecmo Bowl. Yeah, it's honestly could be worse than that. It is absolutely unreal.
Dude, I was gonna say again, and you brought up the college football game. This is a podcast full of a guy with a journalism degree. Two former high school quarterbacks, two former college quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was about to say, whoa, don't draw the line there.
I don't know what Caleb's resume looks like, but a couple national championships on college football 25 between this group as well. So plenty of knowledge to go around. Now, we are going to be talking about the NFL in our first episode back. We'll talk about college football fully in the Week 0 episode next week. But we wanted to just go ahead. We're already in the NFL preseason. Let's go ahead and get that going. And once we get to episode 3, we'll have everything under the sun to talk about. So episode 1, the NFL offseason. We did an episode back in April, right after the draft. We talked about, the Falcons drafted Michael Penix, as I like to say. All the quarterbacks that were drafted left and right, we went through that. But other than that, there was an offseason. There was free agents that we need to kind of circle up on and talk about for throughout the 2024 offseason. So we've made it. So obviously, there was a lot of things that happened. But the biggest move in all of NFL, if you're doing research before we do this pod, guys, if you're trying to, maybe recollect, it's been a long off season, but what was the biggest move? What was it that happened in the NFL this offseason that really changed the league? And I think it's obvious. Kirk Cousins went to the Atlanta Falcons on a 4-year deal, $180 million, which some people would say is a reach, and I think it's and if you look at the NFL quarterbacks and what they're getting paid these days, I think it's a steal. So the Atlanta Falcons do have Kirk Cousins. They also have Michael Penix, but we can talk about that as the season goes along and if anything goes wrong. But Kirk Cousins coming to Atlanta, along with a couple trades. We did have Rondale Moore, who is looking a little shaky right now. But we also, as Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, we stacked this offense up, but it's all on Kirk Cousins' shoulders. The greatest quarterback in Atlanta since Matt Ryan just 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. There's one other move that I think is on par with the Kirk Cousins, but truly, and I think this is an unbiased take, Kirk Cousins to Atlanta is an absolutely huge move. Look at the roster, especially over the last 2 years. We do not lack for playmakers. There is not a lack for playmakers, but it has been the Desmond Ridder, which, little side note, I'm so glad that I don't have to come on here and try and defend him anymore. That is just such a weight off my shoulders. But it has been the Desmond Ridder, Marcus Mariota, Taylor Heineke show in Atlanta the last 2 years, and that's terrible. There is not a worse quarterback situation in the NFL over the last 2 years. And that's including the Las Vegas Raiders, who that has also just been quarterback purgatory over there. So, I mean, you look at it, you got a guy who's going to be able to get the ball to Kyle Pitts, who we have not been able to see a competent quarterback with since his rookie season, which, if you have forgotten, he broke the record for most receiving yards by a rookie tight end in NFL history in his 1 year with Matt Ryan. So I see a huge season out of Kyle Pitts. We've already seen Drake London be able to produce at great levels with those 3 Qs. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities, and all that passing is going to open up Bijan Robinson. And I think Atlanta's scary. I think Atlanta is very scary this year because of the Kirk Cousins move.
I think it's without a shadow of a doubt that is the biggest move. We've been talking for 2 years now that the Falcons with Desmond Ridder is like, putting a Honda wheel on a Lamborghini and expecting it to drive straight, and it just has not. Now you got Kirk Cousins, who's an established quarterback. It seems to be prosperous for Kyle Pitts, which is the biggest disappointment probably in Atlanta outside of Desmond Ritter, because you've expected more and more production out of him. Arthur Smith found ways to not get him the ball, in which you don't have to deal with that anymore. You've got a competent OC in Atlanta. It's going to be exciting. I'd say that. I don't know what y'all's number 2 would be, but mine is also a quarterback as well. It would be Russell Wilson to the Steelers.
Sneak attack.
I think that is a huge addition for them. You're talking about Russell Wilson, who before he got to Denver was on his way to a gold jacket, and it kind of derailed in his couple of years when he was out west in the desert playing for Sean Payton and God knows who else. I don't even remember who his head coaches were at this point.
He technically went a little east.
He went a little east, yeah.
Well, he's west of us.
Nathaniel Hackett, right? Wasn't that the case?
Yeah. Which was a train wreck and is still a train wreck in New York. I'm sure we'll get to that. But I just think that the Steelers, you're talking about the Steelers have been going 9-8 and 8-7-1 for the last couple of years with Kenny Pickett, who's a poor excuse of an NFL quarterback, and Mason Rudolph. Yeah. They got Russell Wilson now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is a great move. And it's been a lot of, because they also got Justin Fields, obviously. So that has been a little bit of a drama around the quarterback position. It does seem like Russell has locked up that QB1 position. And I'll say this. I will come to the defense of Russell Wilson. I don't have his numbers up right in front of me. He was decent last year. He was decent. People wanted to act like he was a bottom-of-the-barrel quarterback when he was really, really middle of the road. I'm not acting like he was an elite player.
He had a pretty good year.
People wanted to act like he was on the level of Desmond Ritter or something along those lines, like a bottom third of the league quarterback, and that just wasn't the case. So now we're able to see him with better playmakers. I mean, shit. Pickens is better than any wide receiver that they have in Denver right now. So, and at the running back position, getting Najee Harris, that's better than what you got in Denver. So he's got the playmakers, he's got the opportunity. He's come into a system with Mike Tomlin, who, I mean, he has never had a losing season ever. I mean, that's an incredible statistic. So yeah, I'm with that. I think Russell could be really good this year. Short leash though.
AFC North is going to be a gauntlet. I don't know about the short leash thing though. Like, I think Justin Fields is literally there just to rehab his career. Like, I don't think there's any heat for him to be the guy. I mean, we saw what he put on the field in Chicago. It wasn't special. Yeah. I'm sitting here watching him right now. They got these dudes on NFL Network. I mean, he just got a boot pass. What's he going to do? Just take a guess. What did he do on third down?
He's going to scramble. He's going to run it. Yeah.
He scrambled and was short of the sticks. I mean, we know what this guy is. I'm sitting here watching it right now. I don't think the pressure is there for that. I think Russell Wilson they probably said it at the very beginning to make sure that he was the guy and to cover their asses in case he wasn't, that, we're going to have a battle. But this is Russ's team. This is Russell Wilson's team. And he's got a rock solid, steady head coach and a decent roster, good enough to get them in the dance somewhere.
100% agree. I'll go with my next pick. This was going to be right behind Kirk Cousins. This was going to be my 1-1 is in Baltimore. Derrick Henry, the new running back in Baltimore. That could be scary. That could be really, really, really scary alongside Lamar Jackson. I don't know honestly, I'm trying to think in NFL history, like a better quarterback running back duo in terms of running the football. I mean, think about any opportunity they get inside the red zone, inside the 10. I mean, what are you going to do? You going to take Russ, or you're going to take Lamar, or are you going to let 240 pounds of Derrick Henry run straight down your throat? That's a pretty tough choice. Pretty tough choice.
Yeah, they're going to have a very downhill attack here with the most bruising NFL running back, the most able runner in probably NFL history as a quarterback. I'd probably say Michael Vick would challenge that, but I think Lamar is probably a better rusher of the football on design plays than Mike Vick was. And you've got two tight ends that are unbelievable, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. People aren't talking. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. I think Likely might end up being better than Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
there's a possibility.
When Andrews went down last year, that was a huge question mark. Like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And Likely just 100% replaced that production to a T. I mean, it was like they never even lost him.
He was a waiver wire guy of the fantasy football year last year for a little bit, for sure.
Yeah,
I got another one.
Oh, well, I'll go. Well, let me go real quick. But the Ravens, I mean, not to mention one of the best offensive lines in football that they're going to be running behind. But I agree, Derrick Henry. But I had another running back, which, if you want to talk about running back, quarterback run duos, Saquon Barkley heading to
That was
Philadelphia.
mine.
Some read option from hell for both the Ravens and the Eagles, birds up. But, Saquon going from the Giants, where there just seemed to be no offensive, how do you say the word, competency, the last couple years, other than their one little playoff run they had. Saquon is going to be, I think, the Eagles have not had a problem in terms of the run game. They had Swift last year, but it's just going to be a different type of team they're going to be running behind, especially now. You lose Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson's he's kind of on the
Lane
last.
Johnson, yeah.
So I think they need more of a bruiser type of guy to just get them the extra yards. I think maybe the tush push is going to take a little bit of a step back, maybe with this move. But I do think Saquon to the Eagles is maybe not exactly what they needed, but it's obviously just a big move in the NFL in terms of names.
Well, yeah, it's going to be huge. I mean, Saquon Barkley, it's tough to argue that he's any worse than number 5. Maybe I could honestly put him top 3 running backs in the NFL. And we're looking at an Eagles team who, just a short while ago, they were the NFC champions. They were in the Super Bowl representing the NFC, and the season ended horribly for them last year. But I mean, who's to say that they can return right back to how they were 2 years ago and be right back in the discussion? I don't think that's crazy to say in the slightest. And adding a guy like Saquon can definitely help them take it there. But I do think this move speaks a little bit more, like you said, about the Giants. I mean, how did the Giants let this guy leave and stay in the NFC East? I mean, an all-time fumble on their end. They're re-signing Daniel Jones to a mega max. They're letting Saquon stay in the division. I mean, I know we're not talking about the Giants, but an absolute cluster. I mean, absolute cluster.
Got to be the most embarrassing showing of a front office in the NFL in a very long time. And we were talking about calamity here to a point where you play hardball with your running back and quarterback. Let's go back to another offseason where they did extend Daniel Jones, but they couldn't get Saquon done because he wanted too much money. So they decided, well, we're going to keep one of them, not lose both. And they kept the loser of the show. I mean, this guy has pretty much put the Giants in a position where they have no wiggle room with their cap or anything like that because they're paying a bad quarterback too much money. And the Giants let Saquon go over, what was it, like $10 or $11 million a year?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it might have been even less than that. I thought it was single digits.
And he went to their division rival.
Hey, let's get that dog hushed up. I'm just kidding. Jake, you might want to check your input settings just make it sure it's on your headphones. I think it might be in your computer. Just a heads up.
No, I'm hearing you through here.
Oh, okay. Well, is your mic through the headphones?
Should be.
Anyway, yeah, Saquon, and then whatever you're about to say, Caleb, and keep going, and then pick your.
As I was saying, it's just embarrassing. I mean, it's just they gave the Eagles what the Eagles did. Their offense need any more firepower? I mean, they're missing. They traded Jason Kelce for Saquon Barkley, and I mean, they still got some ponies back there to run the ball. So Philly is in the same position they were last year, where they can be 10-1, and we don't know how the last 6 weeks of the season are going to go. They've got to figure a way to figure it out. So we'll see. I've only got one more move that I would even suggest is a big move for this offseason, like the biggest. It's what the Houston Texans did to get Danielle Hunter and Stephon Diggs. Massive.
Yeah, I had that one down as well. I mean, obviously – the Texans were the biggest surprise team in the NFL last year, I would say. I mean, no one expected them to kind of go on the run they did and win a playoff game, being in the divisional round. And they're just going all in on the Texans. And that's just I don't know a good word for it, but like the NFL dream. Like you have a couple bad years and you hit on the quarterback and it just works out immediately, right? You win a playoff game, and then Stephon Diggs just pops up, who's obviously you can rank him however you want, but probably at least a top 10 NFL wide receiver to go along to, kind of load up the back end of or the front end of the defense with Will Anderson, who you also got in the right behind C.J. Stroud last year. That the Texans have to be one of the favorite Super Bowl bets at this point in the offseason, after those couple moves.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I do have a wager on the Texans to win the Super Bowl. I took that right after they got Stephon Diggs. I'll just say one thing about Diggs, and I do agree. I think he's a great player and all that. The last season in Buffalo did raise some concerns with me because he did seem to be a little bit more worried about himself versus the team. And also the other day in that preseason game, him and CJ kind of getting into it on the sideline, which is a weird look for I guess that's their second preseason game, but their first real one, with the starters playing. A little interesting. So I don't know if it's cause for concern, but just something to put out there because I wasn't the biggest fan of how he handled himself in Buffalo last year. And really down the stretch, it kind of turned into Buffalo was doing everything they could and still wasn't really even involving Stephon Diggs to like a typical Stephon Diggs performance where he's going out and getting 11 catches, 175 yards and a few tuds. He was kind of a non-factor. But I do think, obviously with CJ, with Tank Dell, who looked really good last year until he got hurt with him coming back, they could definitely be really scary. They could definitely be really, really, really scary. But I had one more move. I have a few other on here, but one move that in particular that I think could be really good is the Cincinnati Bengals. They signed Trent Brown. I know what you're thinking. I know Trent Brown is a little bit past his prime. He's not the same player that he was maybe 3-4 years ago. But what has been the issue with the Cincinnati Bengals over the last 3-4 years? It has been their offensive line, keeping Joe Burrow upright. He's been hurt already twice. So in this situation, I know we all know the graphic of Joe Burrow going back to throw, him getting sacked, Jamar Chase down the field. It's like, oh, he should have taken Penei Sewell in that draft a few years back. I think this is an opportunity for them to, I wouldn't say right a mistake, because who's to say that drafting Jamar Chase is anywhere short of a mistake? I mean, that's kind of crazy. But this will be a huge move for the Bengals in that AFC North, where all 4 teams are legitimate contenders to win the division and make a run. It's somewhat in the playoffs. It's a huge move because there's a lot of good defenses in that AFC North as well. A lot of good defensive fronts.
A lot of good pass rushers too. You're talking about somebody that you can put up against Myles Garrett and be fine with. That's the biggest issue in the league. You got T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett in the same division. You better figure out a way to protect your quarterback in those situations. And you're right. Trent's not the same player he was in New England. He's barely the same player that he was in the first year he was in Oakland. But is he an upgrade to I'm drawing a blank on the tackle that they had. He was from Alabama a couple years ago.
That's the point exactly. He sucked, and he's not their starting tackle anymore. Nope. And Trent Brown is still, he's a veteran. He knows the position. He still has his size. He still has his feet. I think it could be great.
I agree. I like that.
I was going to bring up one just because it's, in my opinion, one of the best defensive players out there. I mean, Brian Burns going to the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Now, it may not, result in the Giants winning a ton of football games. We'll have to wait and see. But, I mean, if you look at the Giants' defensive line, for Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Kayvon Thibodeau all over that's a scary pass rush coming at you, no matter what team you are. So if the Giants are going to do anything, obviously they're going to have to win on defense a lot. Daniel Jones, I mean, they have Malik Neighbors. We'll see how everything goes. But they're not loaded with offensive weapons. But the defensive line for the Giants definitely bolstered up huge with that move. I mean, Brian Burns was an outstanding player for the Panthers. I mean, he was literally the entire Panthers defense for the last couple years. So I think just in terms of what that can do, and I think it's not unfair to say the Giants could be a top 10 defensive team this year because of a move like that.
Brian Burns. They better, but look at the Panthers, and they could have dealt Brian Burns. They could have gotten more out of Christian McCaffrey. They could have gotten more out of a lot of things, and they are
they're turning into the Oakland A's of football quickly.
Yeah, love to see it. Let's see one more move, then we can move on. And I don't even know if this is going to be a crazy move, but the Cleveland Browns signed Jerry Jeudy this offseason. I think that could be a decent one. Give Deshaun a couple more weapons. We already saw Amari Cooper has been, a really good wide receiver, for the Browns of the last few years. Get him a really good two like Jerry Jeudy. I think he could be decent. I think this will be a little comeback season for the Browns. I know obviously they had their Joe Flacco moment last year, but we all knew that wasn't going to end in the Super Bowl. And I think they have a legitimate chance this year.
Joe Flacco in Miami was a movie, though. Just got to say, that whole situation was a blast. I agree with you, Jake, and I'm interested to see if Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson again this year, and if he is, Jerry Jeudy might be in a better situation than he was when he had Nathaniel Hackett call his damn plays, or Sean Payton who didn't like his ass. So we'll see. Sure. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, Kevin O'Connell will probably find a way to get him the ball, though.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy, we'll see. I think one more I wanted to say before we go to the next segment here is I think it's an all-time offseason when a player requests a trade from a team, gets traded, and then before taking another snap, requests another trade, and that's what Son Reddick is currently doing. Yeah. Maybe he just doesn't like the color green, from the Eagles, Jets, and just requested a trade the other day. So we'll see what happens with Hassan Reddick. Maybe Terry Fontenot is picking up the phone to see what he can do to bolster.
I think the reason for his trade requests are because he likes the color green, and nobody wants to give him that much. Personally, and I don't blame him. Hassan Reddick was playing on the front D line with some men in Philly, and they probably made him look good. Now, is Hassan Reddick good? Yeah, he's good, but you if he's double teamed, he's ineffective.
Somebody's going to pay him crazy money, though. We know. That's just the market in the NFL.
Yeah,
if you're above average at the position, you're going to get paid like you're a top 3 guy. That's just how it is nowadays. I don't understand it, but it just is the way it is.
I got another one. I'm kidding.
Those are all the moves.
Yeah, literally, that's the whole.
That was right it. There. So the next thing we want to talk about, obviously in the offseason, the NFL's got to start coming out with content. They got to put things out. And so over the last month, we had the famous Always Right NFL Top 100 come out. Now, I want before we talk about this, I think people need to understand something because there's people out there that just don't understand the precedence or I'm not great with words. Did I say that right?
Precedent.
The precedent of the NFL Top 100 is for the upcoming season. Okay, it's not based off of last season. Okay, it's based off of going into 2024. That is what the list says. It says it right there on the thing. It says the NFL Top 100 players of 2024. Okay, now that that gets people a little riled up. Some people don't understand it. So I just wanted to kind of give a story here about me and I'm a big Instagram comments guy. Guys, I have a podcast. I like to be active in content and the chats and get good memories out of it, really. And it's nothing like winning a battle, especially in the sports sections of comments. But the NFL Films a couple weeks ago posted the way the NFL Top 100 works is that they send these lists out. They send a top 20 list out to all the players. And the players will write their top 20, and that's how they decide the NFL Top 100, which is, we can talk about that in a second. But they posted this, right? And so, NFL players aren't the smartest people, and maybe they don't even understand what this rule is. Maybe they
don't get to watch on Sundays.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah.
So they posted this list, and there was just a couple of people that had Aaron Donald on their list, top player in the NFL. And just a couple, of the people that they posted had Aaron Donald on this list. So I, 3 weeks ago, decided to post a comment on this thing and said, someone put Aaron Donald and he literally retired. What a doofus. And I just want to call out Levi Guccio, who wanted to come at me and said, I hope you know he played last season, bro. And then I had to hit him with the hey pal. The description literally said best players in the NFL right now. And then he hits me with the buddy. It's the top 100, which is based on last season. And then Slide Some Bread wanted to come at me and say, you can't read. It says from this year, Aaron Donald retired in 2024. So I went back and forth telling these guys how dumb they were about, this player, this is literally listed off of 2024. It's not based off of 2023. These guys are telling me that I can't read. They're telling me that I'm stupid. Like they don't know I have a podcast that 15 people listen to a week. It just comes back and forth. And I just want everybody to know before we talk about this list that Aaron Donald wasn't on the list. And if it was based off of last year, he would have been on the fucking list. He wasn't on the list. So just so everyone knows, it's based off of 2024. So now that I've got that out there and wanted everybody to know about Levi Gucci and Slide Some Bread on Instagram, Tyreek Hill was ranked as the number 1 player in the NFL for 2024.
Yeah, great player. Not the best player in the NFL. And I want to say one thing real quick. I honestly thought this was off the season prior. So you're educating me as well. I was completely under the impression this was for the season previous. So thank you, Garrison. And hand up, I was wrong as well.
Dude, were you Slide the Bread or what? Was that you,
yeah,
Jake?
I am Slide that bread. Yeah. I'm Slide the Bread. But we can take this one step further. So, yes, obviously, Tyreek Hill being ranked number 1 in the NFL is insane. I mean, I'd say he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. I could say that. But what I think is even more of a grievance than that is that Lamar Jackson was number 2. Christian McCaffrey was number 3. And then the quarterback of the back-to-back Super Bowl champions, 3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, is ranked at number 4. And there's one explanation for this. There's only one explanation. If y'all have a different take, y'all can give it to me. I think it's bullshit. There's one explanation. People in the NFL, they're salty that they can't beat Mahomes, and they thought that last year was the year that Mahomes was going to come back to earth and the Chiefs weren't going to be able to do it, and nobody could do it. That's the only explanation to why Patrick Mahomes would not be voted number 1. Because if you would ask the fans, you ask the coaches, you ask the media, you ask all of them, they're putting Patty at number 1. But you ask the players, they ain't going to do it. They're going to say, hey, let's give it to my buddy Tyreek Hill.
That would make sense. Yeah. I mean, there was the clip of Jamar Chase on NFL Top 100 saying, who do you think number 1 is? He was like, I'm not going to say the name.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say his name. So that is not a bad take. I mean, I don't disagree with that at all.
I mean, I can't even think of another reason to look at it. I mean, how on earth can you say, like, Lamar Jackson's a great football player? I'm not trying to say that. And I love Lamar. I love watching him play. He ain't number 1. He's not number 1 quarterback. There's no way to shake that.
He deserves to be in the top 5, but he ain't 1, 2, 3, or 4. Not ahead of Mahomes. I completely agree. I think this list is pretty buns, but who are we to tell the players that play against these dudes? But yeah, no, I don't think there's no way you're telling me if you started a team tomorrow, 1 season, draft everybody, fantasy draft right now, you're taking Tyreek Hill the first pick. Hell no. You're going to take Pat Mahomes first pick. It don't matter who you are.
100 out of 100 times.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes doesn't need Tyreek Hill to win Super Bowl.
Yeah, that has been shown. And I mean, like I said, like Tyreek's an awesome player. Even in that the Ice Bowl that they had in KC, I mean, he played really, really, really good. Wasn't enough.
The fact that not only is Lamar ahead of him, but Christian McCaffrey is too, is crazy to me. That's crazy. This dude's a running back. Without his offensive line, he wouldn't be shit. If Patrick Mahomes had janitors out there to throw, he would throw for 4,000 yards.
Yeah. He basically did last year. I mean, like, Rashid Rice was his wide receiver 1 going into the Super Bowl. And I mean, Rashid's good, but come on.
We didn't even talk about the move, but Marquise Brown is there now. I mean, you think he's going to get worse? Come on.
Yeah, so the Jags did hospitalize him in the preseason game the other day. I think he's going to be all right. He just popped his shoulder out of place, but that headline was crazy. Like Marquise Brown rushed to the hospital. Oh, what happened? Oh, he popped his shoulder out of place. Okay.
You been going to Jags games, Jake, or what?
Yeah, I was at the preseason game Saturday. Got to see Malik, got to see Pat and Travis Kelce for one drive, which was really cool. Did not expect that driving to the stadium that we were going to see the first team offense at all. But yeah, got another game on Saturday against the Browns, so we're going to be able to see Jerry Jeudy, one of my offseason moves suggestion earlier. So we're going to be able to see that up close. And then we got season tickets again, year three. Might be the last year though. We're unsure about year 4.
What? They're about to get the new stadium, dude. You're going to get out now? That stadium looks crazy.
Well, the new stadium's going to be in like 2028, I think, or something. But they're about to start playing in like Orlando or Gainesville, and I ain't driving an hour plus on Sundays for my second favorite NFL team. I mean, that's not happening. Not happening.
No, I agree. I don't even want to take a MARTA 20 minutes down the road for my favorite team anymore.
Well, when Desmond Ridder was your quarterback, that's understandable.
Yeah. Well, I did it when Marcus Mariota was my quarterback. So I wonder if he's on the NFL top 100. I don't think so.
I don't know if he ever was. Was he?
But I will say Kirk Cousins did come in here at 81, so he is, a top 100 player. The Falcons also had Jesse Bates and Chris Lindstrom on here, which I'm not sure the last time the Falcons had 3 top 100 players. Had to have been at least a couple years by now. And, and just to list some of the quarterbacks that were on the list, Trevor Lawrence at number 94.
Too high.
Too high.
Yeah, so you think better? Should have been like the 60s.
No way in hell, no.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. There's no reason to think he's a top 100 player right now. There's no reason.
Done? Same reason why he got that deal. Why? What has he done?
He beat the Chargers.
Okay.
He beat the Chargers.
Yeah. Brandon Staley went on for a few fourth downs and gave him a win. Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert at 75. Then we got to go far down the list. Jared Goff at 48.
Good for him.
Matthew Stafford.
No way in hell Jared Goff's better than Justin Herbert.
What?
This list is jacked up, Coach.
Yeah, like I said, these NFL players are worrying about one team a week. I'm worrying about 32 every single Sunday. I go out here and I got every single game on. We're the ones who know the top 100, and I say that halfway joking, but halfway like kind of serious. Like they don't watch these games. Like we do. We see every touchdown every Sunday. They don't.
Yeah. I mean, they only see 13 teams.
One that pops out to me, Jamar Chase at 45. Are we really convinced there's 44 more people better than Jamar Chase at football?
I'll tell you, the dude in front of him is not Demario Davis. Come on, what are we thinking?
Yeah,
Josh Hines Allen.
Tua at 36.
I think that seems about right for Tua, personally.
All right, if you were to start a team tomorrow, Jake, would you take Justin Herbert or would you take Tua?
I would take Herbert.
Would you take Jared Goff or Tua?
I'd take Herbert and then I'd take Tua.
And then Jared Goff?
And then Jared Goff, yeah.
As a lefty, I just can't get behind the lefties. But that's just
turn your back on your own kind, dude.
Yeah, I am, dude. When I have to be a left-handed quarterback on Road to Glory, the plays just don't work
good.
out.
No, don't even recruit him either.
Jordan Love at 32. That's crazy.
No complaint there. No complaint.
Brock Purdy at 28.
I mean, the Purdy situation is just such a bag of worms. You just open it up. Like, is he a good quarterback or is he in a good system, or is it both? I mean, I don't know. He was a drive away from being the Super Bowl champion last year.
Take a look at the guys. First of all, is he better than Jordan Love? That's a fair argument. I think you could argue that. But like the guys in between Jordan Love and Brock Purdy, I'd rather have like Puka Nacua, Quincy Williams, Deebo Samuel. Come on, man.
The quarterbacks aren't over, just so you know. C.J. Stroud at 20.
See, I think that's too low, but I won't go into a whole thing. But I don't think he's the number 4 quarterback in the league, number 5. Like, I think that's outrageous. I think that's crazy.
Okay.
Is he better than Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, he's better than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a running back.
Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott at 16. Jalen Hurts at 15.
Let me say one thing real quick. I'm tired of the Dak Prescott hate. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it.
He's good.
He is. He's a good quarterback. Does he disappear in the playoffs sometimes? Sure, he does. But
So
not everybody.
So
does everybody. I mean, there's so many people who do that. Dak Prescott, over the last 4 seasons, stack up his stats against motherfucking anybody. Anybody you want to. Anybody you want to.
In the year that he broke his leg or whatever, Cuss was going to win the MVP that year. People don't even realize that. He was he threw for 1,600 yards in the first 4 weeks of the season that year and broke his leg. But Dak Prescott's not the guy that's putting Ezekiel Elliott at center. I mean, I don't think he's really the problem here.
100%. 100%.
Like I said, Jalen Hurts at 15, and then Josh Allen at 12. And then Patrick Mahomes at 4 and Lamar at 2.
My hot take is Travis Kelce should be lower, a lot lower.
than 9.
Yeah, he would slot behind Justin Jefferson on my list here at 18 or 19.
It's interesting terminology when you're talking about a list going from top to bottom. He should be lower, but it's actually it should be a higher number. But I see what you're saying, but it is confusing. That can get confusing. For sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, he should be a higher number. Max Crosby and Fred Warner are better players, more important players than Travis Kelce, I think. Josh Allen is too. CeeDee Lamb is too. So I think Taylor Swift got him some votes there.
Yeah, and he's got the he was on the COVID vaccine commercial, so he's got all that in his back pocket.
Pfizer.
He's got the Taylor Swift supporters in his back pocket. So I let out a very hefty boo when Travis Kelce got his only catch in the preseason game last week, and there was this sweet little girl about 5 rows in front of me that turned around and gave me the look of death when I gave that boo. I'm not even kidding. She was irritated with me, and I loved it. Ate it up.
There's some snubs on here though for sure. Can we y'all's guy Jesse Bates 74?
Yeah, 74. He's arguably the best safety in football.
He is the best.
I'm with you.
Yeah, he should be at least top 40. Got to be top 40.
Yeah. It's something. It is something. Jalen Johnson I saw where he wasn't even on the list, and he was
crazy
all-pro corner last year.
Makes no sense.
Just nuts, but just another list, another year, top 100. Mm-hmm. But just remember, going into next year, it's based off of the upcoming year. That's what it's supposed to be. I don't think the players understand that. And
Who do you think is going to be the best? It's a prediction, really.
Yeah, and neither does
Tyreek Hill should win MVP.
Correct. That's a prediction. All right, now time for our list. Our top 10 teams in the NFL this upcoming season. This is not based off last year, just so everybody knows. It is for this upcoming season. I hope you guys made your list accordingly. Now, we did this last season. I just want to say I did have the Chiefs number 1 last season, and they finished number 1. I had the 49ers number 2. They finished number 2. I just want to say that. That did
good job.
So, go me. Now, we'll start from 10. Jake, you start.
Yeah, so I already know I'm going to get flamed for this pick, but I think it's going to be a good comeback. I think the New York Jets are going to be really good this year. And I think that is, obviously that just depends on Aaron Rodgers' right Achilles. Will it stay up? Because if it doesn't, they're toast again. That's just the fact of the matter. But I think if he stays upright, the Jets have every reason to win. We talked about Hassan Reddick earlier. The team already said they're not trading him. That's not going to happen. He's going to have to play a season with the Jets before they can even entertain moving on from him. But yeah, I got the Jets at number 10. I think they have the pieces. They had the pieces last year as well. But another year with Rodgers. Rodgers did have a year in that system last year. Obviously, he wasn't playing, but he was in the building around the play callers, around the playmakers. We're going to see a big year out of Garrett Wilson. I think the Jets will be a playoff team.
I also have the Jets at 10. That was my number 10.
Nice.
So there we go. But for the same reasons you think, and I would be devastated if Aaron Rodgers got hurt again. I really would. I'm really trying to see Aaron Rodgers play football again, and I know it's just been so long. And last year, it's Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays on Pat McAfee show. I look forward to those during the season, and they were just so depressing. When he has literally nothing to talk about other than how bad the Jets are and how bad his leg feels. But I'm with you. They still have the defense. They still have Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams, and now they have Hassan Reddick, and Mosley and the whole crew. I mean, they've got a defense that we saw in Hard Knocks last year. And during the season last year, it obviously looked pretty good. So, I mean, as long as Aaron Rodgers is staying up, Breece Hall is creeping his way into being the top running back in the league. There. So I'm excited about the Jets. And I mean, as long as Aaron Rodgers is playing, they're going to win 10, 11 games, no doubt.
Yeah. It's a winnable division as well, I'd like to say, because, it still looks like the Bills are probably the top team in the division right now. The Patriots look fucking awful. Caleb, I don't know if you saw this, but they had an 11 on 11 session today at practice. I'm not sure who their joint practice was with. They gave up 14 sacks. They gave up 14 sacks in one team period, which is crazy. All right, Caleb.
Well, the offensive line is pretty depleted. Yes, if we were ranking teams, New England would literally be my 32. We're bad. We can't even get Brandon Ayuk to take an overpay contract. That's how bad we are.
I used to
32 million.
Like
he said,
this.
"I'm good." Hey, it's the market, man. It bounces out. What comes and goes. We got a trifecta here, gentlemen. I think the Jets have a chance. They're either going to be like a 13-4 team in my book and go to a conference championship game, or the wheels are going to fall off like week 9. I don't know how it's going to go, but they have the potential to be a Super Bowl champion. Mm-hmm. I got them at 10.
That's interesting. I really thought I was going to be the only person to take the Jets, and y'all are going to be like, "Dude, come on, what are you talking about?" All right, well, that's good. For my number 9, I talked about Dak Prescott a little bit earlier, but I think the Cowboys are going to be good this year. Not going to say if I think they're going to win the East or not. We'll figure that out with my rankings later on. But I think they have every reason to be. They have every single reason to be a top 10 team, to be a playoff team again, and maybe this year they can actually go to the playoffs and not get fucking annihilated by the Green Bay Packers. But yeah, I got the Cowboys.
Okay. Speaking of the Green Bay Packers, that's who I have at number 9. No, they're not. That's not the G-Men.
The P-Men. The P-Men.
But the Georgia logo hits the same. Look, they just gave Jordan Love all that money, made him the highest paid quarterback in the league. They looked like one of the hottest teams last year. They could have easily walked away from that win, from that San Francisco game in a divisional. And who knows what we're talking about, maybe if they're making the Super Bowl. I think it's going to get better from here. I mean, Jordan Love, if you don't come out and play like an absolute star like you were the last, 2-3 months of the season last year, then there's a lot of problems. But they still have a defense that should be pretty good. They did lose Aaron Jones, but they still have plenty of offensive weapons all around. I just like the way. I mean, the Packers are just one of those franchises. We talk about how the Steelers are just always having a winning record. Like, you rarely are going to see the Packers fall off. It's just kind of in the winning nature, and I like everything that the Packers got going on. They showed it last year. They'll show it again. They'll be in it. I'm not sure if they'll win the division or not, but they can definitely do it, and I would not be surprised if they do.
I've got in this spot the Buffalo Bills at number 9. I'm not as high as other teams. Probably, I don't know if you guys have them on your list. I've got them a little lower here than probably what most people do. You don't have them on their list at all? That's fair. Mm-hmm. I trust the quarterback. I trust the head coach to play decent defense, and I trust Joe Brady to be able to call a pretty decent game. And they may not have a number 1 wideout, but Keon Coleman has the potential to turn into a number 1. I think there's no doubt in my mind about that. I think he's very talented. I think they've got 2 tight ends that are very good. They're going to be able to spread the ball out to Dalton Kincaid and Knox both. And they'll be able to run the ball a little bit better. And the real question is on defense, because they lost both their safeties. They had Poyer and Hyde for years. I think they've got like Mike Edwards and somebody else now. I mean, but it's not necessarily as talented on defense. But Josh Allen, at some point, has got to put this team ahead of others around him. By himself, he's got to be Superman this year. I think he'll do it. So I got the Buffalo Bills number 9.
I didn't have them in my top 10, but I did. I mean, if I was going to extend it to maybe the top 15, I think I'd probably put them in there. But they did lose a lot. They did lose a lot this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
They did get kind of cleaned out. But I'm with you. Sean Akbar McDermott can definitely get the team behind him and probably win some games. Win some games. And like I said, it's really them or the Jets, I'd imagine, in the NFC East. I mean, AFC East.
You sure about that?
It can make a run. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not as high on the Dolphins as some other people are. I'm not. And maybe that'll change, but I don't know. I'm like Garrison. I don't trust left-handed quarterbacks. So for my number, this be number 8. I'm staying in the NFC East. I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I really think that move for Saquon Barkley is going to work wonders for that offense. And if you look at last season, I think they lost like their last 6 games of the year, like the last 5 out of 6 or something like that. They absolutely crumbled down the stretch. And the biggest reason or the biggest, blame that you can place is really on Jalen Hurts. His play really dropped down in the latter stretch of that season last year, and they were really just looking for answers. But if you look at the roster, I mean, we can talk about their defense. They have playmakers on the defensive side, but some familiar faces: A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. They got guys who can make plays. You add Saquon Barkley in there. Jalen Hurts has no reason to not step up his play from last season and get back to his MVP season type production. So yeah, I got the Eagles at number 8.
Okay. My number 8 spot, I'm gonna have the Miami Dolphins. Look, I think it's from you saw what you saw last year. They started out as one of the highest teams in the NFL. Look, the Dolphins, when it comes to playing good NFL teams, yeah, they struggled mightily last year. But they're going to get their fair share of shitty teams to play this season throughout the whole year. And we've seen it time and time again. I mean, you're not going to stop Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at the same time. It's going to be hard to do if you're not a pretty stout team. They get to play the Patriots twice. That's at least 2 wins. They're going to get to play the Titans are going to get to play the Seahawks, the Colts, Cardinals. I mean, they're going to win games easily, and they're definitely going back to the playoffs, in my opinion. I think it's probably the AFC East champion, in my opinion. They're going to build off a lot of things last year, but it's just the offense is just too good. It's just way too good, and they beat the Falcons in Week 1 of the preseason, so they've got the winning mentality already set for the season. But I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think it's hard to go against not thinking they're at least making the playoffs.
Number 8 for me is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. The only reason why they're this low, I know we all know they're studs and specialists on offense, but who the hell plays defense for them? Their defense was atrocious last year, 30th in the league in terms of like yards allowed. I don't think they're making many improvements in that department. So, it's going to be either cause turnovers or score 50. And Joe's capable of that. I think they're going to be in a bunch of games. They're probably going to score 30, 35 points a game this year. Not too far away to say. You talk about the likes of Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase and all these other weapons. Yeah. I mean, they have the dudes there in the building to get it done on offense, and we know that's what wins games, but it doesn't win championships. So I'll put the Bengals in the playoffs, but not successful in the playoffs at number 8.
So sorry, Caleb, to do this to you, but just to prove that we know ball, Joe Mixon is a Houston Texan. So that is another all-season news.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I hate to do it, but I had to catch.
I call him out. See, this is how you know Caleb's got the worst list. D. Higgins is still on the Bengals, though, right? I just said that.
He is. Yeah, there's a lot of rumors.
I thought there was trade rumors. I will when I toted the name out there, I was like, oh, did he get traded? But no, he didn't. So.
Who's the Bengals running back now? Just to clarify for the audience here.
I can't say off the top of my head, but Oh yeah,
Who?
dude. Oklahoma legend. I don't know if he's still in the league.
Well, no, what was it?
Chase Brown. Chase Brown. He was huge in fantasy at the end of the year last year when Joe Mixon was out.
Boom. We know ball.
Yeah, we do. We are ball knowers. For my number 7, it has been a long time coming, and I wanted to put him higher, but I think this is a safe place to put him. Is your very own Atlanta Falcons, and I did a whole spiel on them earlier in the pod, and I'm not gonna go back to that, but I think the Falcons are going to be so good this year. I mean, you can look at position group after position group, and the Falcons can stack up with literally anyone in the NFL. Literally anyone in the NFL, you can put them up with. Yeah, D-line's all right. I mean, like, listen, we lost Brandon Trice. I mean, yeah, we're going to be all right, dude. We're going to be all right. Look at our defense last year. We were a top half of the league bunch, and we're going to improve dramatically on offense. And we were still going into week 16 for the second straight season with a legitimate chance to win the division and get into the playoffs. That's not going to be the same this year, dude. We got Kirk Cousins. He's going to be able to get the ball to his playmakers. Remember, before his Achilles injury last year, Kirk Cousins was arguably the NFL MVP for how he was playing last season. Dude was going absolutely off. And all this, I mean, I know it's camp. I get that. But all the clips coming from camp, he looks healthy as he can be. He's throwing dots all over the field. And the Falcons are going to be in this list for years and years and years to come, because once Kirk's out of here, Michael Penis is going to take over, and he's going to be just as good, if not better, down the stretch. So, yeah, number 7, I got the Atlanta Falcons. And I cannot wait to see them play football this fall.
I will say the Atlanta Falcons are my honorable mention, 11th team on my list. Just didn't find the room in them for there. Number 7 team is going to be the Houston Texans. We talked about it. They got Stephon Diggs. They already had Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I mean, C.J. Stroud's going to have all the weapons. Now he's got Joe Mixon. Look, in the defense, I said it earlier. They got Hunter. They already got Will Anderson. Did Derek Stingley get traded? No, he didn't. Did he?
But
no.
yeah, I think he's.
Dude, this is like Minesweeper, dude, about who's on what team at this point.
Dude,
well, listen, it's the preseason for us as well. You know, you got to give us some grace. You know.
Yep.
No, he's still on the Texans. Fact check. Okay, so look, they've got players on each side of the ball, and I think the Texans are revved up for another great year. I think the AFC South is going to be theirs once again. Don't see the Colts and Anthony Richardson doing something. I don't see the Jags doing something. They don't have Calvin Ridley anymore, so.
Yeah, but we got Brian Thomas Jr. and we got Gabe Davis. We're going to be all right without Calvin. Calvin dropped like 6 touchdowns last year. He kind of fucking sucked.
I was just saying.
We don't have to talk about the Jags.
I was just saying that.
That's a story. It's a spoiler alert for what's on his list later.
But I got the Houston Texans at number 7.
I've got Philly here. I think I lost a little trust in Nick Sirianni last year and what went on at the end of the season. And, it just seems like they've got to put up or shut up this year, and they better, because Jalen Hurts got paid. Nick Sirianni, I feel like if he doesn't go 11 wins plus in divisional, he's probably fired. So he's got to get it done. I mean, the roster, Jake talked about it earlier, roster is incredible. Incredible. I mean, they're loaded everywhere. Everything that they lost, they replaced except for Jason Kelsey, and they drafted a replacement for him a season ago, and Kelsey recruited the guy. So I'm sure he's going to be fine to plug and play. Saquon Barkley running the ball, Bryce Huff replacing Hassan Reddick on the edge. I'm sure they'll be in it. They just got to be able to run the ball and push their way through the playoffs. And the NFC is loaded. That's their problem. The NFC is freaking loaded. So we'll see how it goes for them. I got them at 7.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. For my number 6, I'm going to be going with the Detroit Lions. I'm torn with me because I see this season for the Lions going one of two ways. They're either going to, which I believe they will, they're going to live right up to what they were last year. I mean, they were so close to going to the Super Bowl. They had the Niners right where they wanted them in the NFC Championship game, weren't able to finish it. So I either see it going that way, or it's going to be the complete opposite. Jared Goff is going to be terrible, and they're going to be bad. But Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, decided to come back for this season, and I think there's one reason why, and it's unfinished business. He likes this roster, and he thinks it can be a Super Bowl caliber team, which I don't. You can go up and down the roster. I mean, to say with all these teams that we're going to talk about in the top six, all of them have great rosters, but the Lions were there. They had an opportunity, and with a head coach like Campbell, they're going to be a fired up bunch, and that is going to be they're going to be reminded of that every single day they go out to practice. They were so close, they were right there. They could have done it, and they didn't. And I think that's going to be motivation for them. So yeah, I got the Lions here at number 6.
My number 6 team is the Dallas Cowboys. Look, they're the Dallas Cowboys. We saw them last year. They were one of the best teams throughout the whole season. Number 2 seed in the playoffs on the NFC side. Look, you could go down and name their whole roster. Prescott, they just got Zeke back. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Parsons. I mean, the list. Trayvon Diggs, he'll be back. He was out all last year. They've got names throughout the whole roster. They're going to be a good football team. It's 6 is probably the highest I think they can go. Once we get to the playoffs, we'll find out. But throughout the regular season, I don't think anybody doubts that they're probably going to make their normal rounds. They're going to win a lot of football games. I got a number 6.
Agreed.
My number 6 team here is going to be the Green Bay Packers. A little higher on them than probably most are. I don't know. I don't really look, but they gelled so well together at the end of last season. And you're talking about a very, very, very young team with a first-year quarterback who just got paid. He's proven, and everybody you ask, it just seems like he looks apart. And we talked about him on the top 10 list earlier, or top 100, and we were fine with how high he was. I mean, this guy is going to be a force in the NFL for a good little while. They're young. They got an exciting offense. They got Matt LaFleur calling the shots on offense. They're going to score points. And, they bolstered their safety department. They've signed Xavier McKinney. They should be a little bit better on the back end. I like Green Bay a lot this season. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be the biggest challengers to the Detroit Lions in the NFC North for certain. And they're going to have to push them. And I don't know how much they're going to push them because, spoiler alert, they're on my list later. But I still think the Green Bay is one of the best teams in football.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can make the argument the NFC North is arguably the best division in football on those top 2 teams. I mean, there are other divisions that could definitely be in that conversation. But the Packers and the Lions, I mean, it's hard to find 2 teams, that could go 1 and 2. And that leads into my pick. I know I said all that good stuff about the Lions. I don't think they're winning the NFC North. I think the Packers are going to be the best team in the NFC North. So to start my top 5, I'm going to have the Green Bay Packers for all the reasons Caleb just said. Jordan Love's a stud. We're going to see Christian Watson spend a lot of last season on the IR. Hopefully he's able to come back and he's able to be healthy throughout the season. And, yeah, there's no reason why the Green Bay Packers cannot be a top 5 team in the NFL this year.
All right. I'm going to go with the Ravens at number 5, the Baltimore Ravens. We talked about Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That'll probably be enough to win multiple football games within itself. But, they've also got Roquan Smith on the defensive side. They've got John Harbaugh, who's going to be super motivated more now that his brother's in the same conference as him. He's got a lot to prove as well. But, I mean, this was a team that, could have easily been in the Super Bowl last year. I think they'll be right back at top of the NFL. They've been winning games for years and years and years. I've got them in the top 5. I mean, I think they're stout for another great year.
Number 5 for me, Houston Texans. I think Houston's roster is excellent. Don't get me wrong. Okay, but there's just 4 horses in front of them that I just cannot put them in front of yet. Now, are they going to have the ability to make noise? Yes, I think they are probably the biggest challenger. One of the biggest challengers in the AFC to the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it's down to 2 teams that are. It's down to 2 teams. It was okay. Pretty clear. Hydration levels up. Anyways,
nice.
I like the roster, and I like what they did last year. I feel like there's magic in the building when with their head coach and CJ Stroud. We'll see if they bring Sketch into the building this year with the developments this offseason.
Definitely,
he's a huge
definitely going to be in the building.
But it just seems like Houston playoff games. This is a little bit of nostalgia for me, but I remember when Houston, when they had Matt Schaub and J.J. Watt was young and they hosted playoff games, that place was electric. And this past year was the same feeling. I love to see Houston fired up for football. It's a good time.
Those Deshaun Watson games were pretty electric too.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had the Chiefs on the ropes. Unbelievable.
So this is going to be my first take of the NFL season. I think CJ Stroud is going to regress. I think he's going to regress this year. Just putting that out there. But for my number 4, I'm going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think we saw even last year. I mean, this was a team that was banged up the entire season, and they were still able to stay in the conversation. And we saw Jake Browning. I mean, Jake Browning balled out of his mind through the latter part of the season, replacing Joe Burrow. So I think we're going to be able to see a healthy Burrow. I talked about Trent Brown signing earlier in the episode. I think that's going to be it's going to bolster that offensive line a little bit. Yes, Caleb did mention they do have some defensive issues, but with Joe Burrow, with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, I think there's no reason why they can't win a lot of football games. So I have them at number 4.
All right, my number 4 team is the Detroit Lions. Look, they went to the NFC Championship last year. There is a little shaky information coming out about Jahmyr Gibbs, but they still got David Montgomery. They still got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jameson Williams will now be ready to go for the whole season. Jared Goff, obviously a top 50 player in the NFL. So they'll be right back where it is. Dan Campbell, the whole deal. I mean, one of you guys said it had it on your list just a second ago. So for all those reasons, they'll be right back at it. I think they'll win the North over the Packers. I think it'll be real close. But it's just hard. It's hard to not want to root for this team, and it's hard to think that they're not, after getting that success and being so close, to being so close, they'll be right back at it again this year.
I've got Detroit at 4 as well. I'm like you. I think they're just going to grind their way back into it. I love a team that runs the football. I don't care if Jahmyr Gibbs is back there doing it. Hopefully that turns out okay. On this scenario, can make it back at some point this year, whatever the diagnosis is. I didn't see any news today, but Detroit, I just like the formula, man. They grit and grind. They play good defense. They want to stop the run. They want to run the ball. They got a good enough play action game. They got probably a breakout tight end. I mean, you're talking about somebody that could probably end up being in the top 25 of this 100 list coming in the next season because of how monstrous of a year he has. If you look at it, who's the young prodigy for tight ends in NFL? It's Sam Laporta.
Yeah, no
doubt. It is him without a doubt. So that offense with their OC coming back, not saying I don't want to go to the Carolina A's and coach and ruin my coaching career. He's going to stick it out in Detroit, run it back one good time. We'll see what they can do. They're going to make some magic shake right here.
Yeah, unfinished business for sure. For my number 3, it's crazy to say, I think they're going to take a step back, which is, kind of crazy to say. But I got the Kansas City Chiefs sliding in at number 3 this year. You'll see on my list, maybe I have them as the best team in the AFC, maybe I don't. But I still think they're going to be a great team. I still think they're going to be a very good team. I think the Hollywood Brown signing is interesting if that can work out to be as a home run threat as, they kind of been missing since they lost Tyreek Hill, which is kind of hard to say since they have won the last 2 Super Bowls to say they're missing something. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to be as explosive and be able to get back for the 3rd straight. I don't think they will. But they're definitely going to still be around, and they're going to be, Championship Sunday come around. I'll be damned if number 15 is not trotting out there for the 5th straight year in the AFC Championship game. So yeah, I still have them really high. Number 3, Kansas City.
That's bulletin board material right there for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all they need.
Yeah, put them at number 3 on the Deep South podcast.
Hey, look, I remember last year when I said they were the number 2 team. Y'all about had a heart attack in Garrison's living room when I said that.
Yeah.
And today we just shrug it off.
Yeah.
My number 3 team is the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm ready for a big comeback year for Joe Burrow. The look through y'all's faces, that was hilarious.
I like it.
But the Cincinnati Bengals, look, Joe Burrow pretty much missing not the whole year, but I mean, the last, 10, 11 weeks of the season last season.
He was never healthy, though. Like, he did play, but he was never at 100% last season.
And, dude, the guy just dyed his hair blonde. I mean, just totally buzzed his hair and buzzed his head, dyed his hair blonde. I mean, if that doesn't mean business, I don't know what does. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, the whole crew. I mean, look, they may be struggles elsewhere, but they do have a great offensive line, as Jake has said. I'm just not in a scenario where Joe Burrow has his back against the wall and has a huge chip on his shoulder. I think they're just going to be so good. Like we're going to be reminded how great he is once again this season. So I got the Bengals as number 3 team in the NFL.
Joe Burrow looks like he's spending his offseason in West Hollywood. I'm going with the Chiefs here at 3 as well. I think mainly because, well, let me back up. This is the disclaimer. If Brandon Ayuk is not in San Francisco is the number 3 team. Full disclaimer. If something happens, he doesn't play. If he's there, I'm assuming he's there. He gets his money, whatever. The Kansas City Chiefs are the number 3 team in football, I think solely because they lost their shutdown corner that they had. That made a big difference on that defense that ended up turning into probably the best unit in football towards the end of the season last year. I think that's going to be a massive, massive loss because their second corner last year, and this has been the case for the Chiefs for years, that dude that is not their ace gets picked on in the playoffs, and it is a problem. Now they got 2. Unless they develop one of them, they've got 2 liabilities in their secondary. Now, their front is going to cause a lot of havoc. Shout out Malik Herring for getting another deal. You know what I'm saying? But is the magic going to run out at some point? Is Travis Kelce going to regress? Is Marquise Brown going to stay healthy and let this offense be what it needs to be? I have a little bit of a question mark there, other than more so with them than the 2 teams in front of them. So I'll put Kansas City here at 3.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who put KC at 3 and said a lot of the same points, it's kind of hard to say. Like, there's a lot of question marks. They could regress. We are still putting them as a number 3 team in the NFL. So, like, we're not saying they're going to suck. I mean, as long as 15's out there, they're going to be good. They're going to be good.
They'll be in the AFC Championship game. Guaranteed. You can book it. Whatever it is, minus 1,000, they'll be in it.
For my number 2, we talked about the Derrick Henry deal earlier. I think this is going to be a game changer. I think Baltimore has shown over the last 2 years they have, you can make the argument they have the best defense in football. Especially seeing the breakout of Kyle Hamilton last season, another year under his belt this year to go out and take another step. Their defensive front's great, Roquan's great, and then that's not even talking about on the offensive side of the ball. Lamar and Derrick Henry is going to be devastating. And John Harbaugh is arguably a top 3, top 5 coach in the NFL. He's going to be able to use that, and he's going to be able to absolutely abuse that. And there's one other team I'd say is better than Baltimore, and that's even really close. So I have Baltimore representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this season.
All right. My number 2 team is the San Francisco 49ers. Which I'm just going to go ahead and assume is Jake's number 1 team. But look, the San Francisco, I mean, they've been doing it for year in, year out since Kyle Shanahan got there. There's no reason to think, obviously, the Brandon Ayuk situation is a little bit up in the air, but I think Kyle Shanahan can, make do with whatever offense of playmakers he has. And they still got plenty. They still got Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in the NFL. They still got George Kittle, probably the 2nd or 3rd best tight end, and Deebo Samuel. As long as he stays up, he's good. And then they have also got Trent Williams, the best offensive lineman in the NFL. They've got Nick Bosa, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. They got Fred Warner, one of the best linebackers in the NFL. So we talk about position groups stacking up. They can do it pretty much all across the board. I don't think there's a better team in the NFC than the San Francisco 49ers this year. Just don't see it happen.
I've got the Ravens at 2 and the Niners at 1. I think the Ravens, like Jake said, you got to think of the whole team, right? Head coach, huge. Harbaugh is going to get them in the right direction. You can book it. He's going to. The Ravens roster is loaded. They've got an electric quarterback, which has the ability to do something that nobody else in the NFL has or ever has been able to do outside of probably Michael Vick and RG3 for about 11 games, which is run the football efficiently, like to the point that he's getting 10 yards a clip. Then you pair that with probably over the last 7 or 8 years, other than Christian McCaffrey, in terms of downhill running the football, nobody better than Derrick Henry. Nobody.
Yeah.
A guy that can break one for 99, a guy that can run through 3 tackles, a guy that can catch a screen pass and be somebody that strikes fear in the heart of a corner or a safety. Nobody better. And then we already talked about the tight end duo. They got Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers. They did lose Odell. Does that matter that much? Probably not. They're going to roll. I like them to be probably going into Kansas City or hosting Kansas City for an AFC Championship game. I just see it as climbing the mountain. They got to get past Houston, and they've got to beat Kansas City.
Yeah, so obviously I had the Ravens represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. So for number 1, it's going to be an NFC team. It's going to be the Los Angeles Rams. I'm just kidding. It's going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not going to repeat what y'all just said about the 49ers because they have it all. They have it all. Garrison said it well. You can go position group with position group. You can have a dude off, and it's going to be really hard to win a dude off against the San Fran 49ers.
All right. Well, the number 1 team in Garrison Cookman's best rankings from last year, repeat this year, is Kansas City Chiefs. It's Chiefs Niners again. Call it whatever you want. I'm not picking against Kansas City. I'm not going to do it. It's just silly. I just won't. We all you guys talked about how great they were. Until you dethrone them, and like you guys, we've all agreed they're at least going to the AFC Championship. They're probably going back to the Super Bowl. It's just hard. It's hard to pick anything. When Taylor Swift's on your side, what can you do?
And Pfizer.
Yeah. So that's it.
I've got the Niners at 1. I don't know if I expanded on that, but I just want to point out how big the Ayuk situation is to me. Like Ayuk takes them from being clear and obvious to me the best team in football to 3rd, maybe 4th, maybe 5th. I think that if they don't get what they need out of Ayuk being that go-to number 1 outside dude that can average the most yards per catch in the league, they're going to be as explosive, and Brock Purdy's going to lose some targets, might expose the quarterback. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's been a great episode of Talking Ball. I just wanted to wrap
been a great
up
episode.
With just a little guess of stats game. We did this in the first episode last season. So I'm just gonna do like 3 different quarterbacks here. All right, I'm just gonna name some stats, and you guys are gonna guess the quarterback. You're gonna get we'll give you 3 guesses. Okay. All right. So the first quarterback on the list. Okay. Yards. 4,280 yards. 69.4 completion percentage. 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
Jared Goff.
Okay. No. I will repeat it one more time. Don't look it up, Jake. 4,280 yards, 69% completion percentage, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Not Jared Goff. That's 1 out for Caleb.
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Congratulations, Jake. He looked that up. That's what he's looking.
Come on, why?
He's looking. He was looking this way, dude. Looking at his screen over here.
Dude.
He's smiling. He's not even denying it. All right. Here's a good one. 2,836 yards, 64% completion percentage, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
Dear God.
12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
That is horrible. Oh
Again, I'll repeat the stats. 2,836 yards, 64% completion percentage, 12 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
No.
That's a good guess. Derek Carr.
No.
Man, I thought that was going to be it. 12 tutties, 12 interceptions, 2,800 yards. It's not a lot of yards.
Who threw the same amount of touchdowns as picks?
Not Geno. I was thinking Geno. Not going to be Geno. Let me get Daniel Jones. I don't know. Never mind. Take that off. He didn't even play enough to throw 12 touchdowns.
Oh my God. Not Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it's definitely not Daniel Jones. I'm going team by team. Give me Bryce Young.
No.
Dude, that would be horrendous. This dude obviously missed time last year. Had to. I'm going to say Kyler Murray.
No. All right. We got one more guess each.
I mean, dig deep right here. Hold on. Let me think.
I'm just thinking the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. And can I ask a question?
No.
Okay.
12 tuds, 12 picks. Is this guy a starter still? There's no way.
Is he still a starter?
No chance. No chance. No chance. There's no chance. There's no way he'd be a starter throwing for 2,000 yards and 12 touchdowns.
Is it the Riddler?
It is Desmond Ridder. Nice.
I can see that little grin on your face.
Dude, you guys are supposed to ask questions, dude. We're gonna have to do. That's unfair. You can't do that. That was supposed to be a prank. All right. Here's another one. 4,044 yards, 64% completion percentage, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, nice, Caleb.
Nice. All right, we're gonna do one. We're gonna do one more. That was nice, Caleb. One more. Okay, here we go. 4,000.
I'm sorry, I was just thinking, what if you pulled out like Aaron Rodgers stats for like 8 yards?
0 for 1, 0 yards.
Oh man! All right, 4,183 yards, 67% completion percentage, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions.
Ooh, a little high there.
4,183 yards, 67% completion percentage, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions.
CJ
Trevor Lawrence.
Both wrong.
Not gonna be Trevor. They way more than that picks.
Will Levis.
No. Levis, dude, damn.
27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions.
That's not good.
Is Jordan Love?
No. Got one guess each.
Derek Carr.
No.
Damn. All right. Money pick right here. Money pick. Give me Geno Smith.
It's Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh.
Patrick
What?
Patrick.
No way.
Remember how bad those receivers were last year.
Yeah.
Throwing a lot of picks.
I mean, it was week 14 or week 13. We were it was week 14. We were on this podcast like, are the Chiefs done? Are they done? What's going on?
We were.
Oh man.
We were. I can't believe I just made Pat Mahomes Derek Carr.
Yeah. Dude, the Baker Mayfield first rip, dude. You knew those stats.
Baker had a nice solid year last year, dude.
Oh man. All right. Well,
I got paid.
That'll wrap up episode 1 of season 3. It feels good to be back, guys. Like I said, just staring at the screen, talking ball. Next week we've got college football, week 0 begin. This is the last week without college football as we're speaking. So I'm excited. The picks are going to be coming back on episode 3. The graphics are back. We'll try to have more on social media. If you haven't seen the last post, look what happens when you give a duck a Zen. We'll see y'all next week.